From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, security gang. Welcome to the CyberHub Podcast. Excited, our beta episode out of our brand new studio. I hope you'll get an out of if you're not following us on Instagram, X, and YouTube, you should. Later today, I'll be posting kind of the new setup here in the studio with some of our new content and a lot of stuff that's going to be dropping. So you want to check that out. That's only going to be available on our Instagram, YouTube, and X page, nowhere else. So go check that. Go subscribe there if you haven't yet. All right. Really excited for this morning's show. We got a lot to talk about, and it's great to be back in the studio. Like, I can't tell you how excited I am for today's show, making sure everything runs smoothly and unbelievably well. So let's go ahead and get the show going. But before we do that, please make sure to subscribe, follow, and share our content. We grow because of your viewership and because you share our work. So we're really grateful for that. Now, without further ado, join me for our first coffee cup cheers in our brand new studio. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. Good espresso. Good life. All right, let's go ahead and get the ball rolling. Crowdstrike finally coming out with a preliminary post-incident review on the faulty Falcon update, explaining that a bug allowed bad data to pass its content validator and caused millions of Windows systems to crash on July 19th. The company explained that the issue was caused by a problematic content configuration update meant to gather telemetry on a new threat technique. After passing the content validator, the update didn't go through additional verifications due to trust in previous successful deployments of the underlying inter-process communication template type. Again, I'm going to repeat this line. After passing the validation, it didn't go through additional verification due to trust. If I go to CrowdStrike's website, there's a keyword on there called zero trust. Kind of someone should have checked that out before. The company realized the error, reverted the update within the hour. However, it was too late. 8.5 million machines were impacted. And again, this is going to go to inadequate testing, obviously. And I think that was what almost everyone else thought this was inadequate testing. They didn't go through a proper Q&A process. We now know they didn't. They just assumed trust. Didn't break before. Why would it break again? If it works, it works. All we did is make this one change. And speaking to so many people in DevOps and software engineering and Q&A, they say common mistake, common fallacy, mostly born out of complacency. So complacency is the enemy in security. You can never be complacent in the world we live in. However, in this scenario, they were complacent. They trusted when they shouldn't have. They should have gone through additional testing. Another day or two of testing would have prevented this meltdown. And this meltdown is significant. Delta Airlines, right? I talked about this yesterday on the show, is still recovering nearly a week later, right? And will they reconsider CrowdStrike? I mean, I saw something on there that said CrowdStrike's offering people a $10 Uber Eats gift card for this issue. And I'm like, that's insulting. That really is insulting. $10. I don't know what planet CrowdStrike lives in, but I live on this planet in this country in 2024. You can't even buy a Big Mac meal for $10. So what are you going to buy for $10? Hey, here's a little bit of the Chinese food you're going to order, or here's a little bit for the tacos you're getting on Uber Eats. Come on, CrowdStrike, you can do better. There's a point in time to talk about this. CrowdStrike, for their end, they're saying they're implementing several additional measures to prevent similar incidents. They're going to do local developer testing. They're going to do content update and rollback testing, stress testing, fuzzing and fault injection, stability testing, content interface testing. Question: why weren't you doing these now? That's literally the pledge you signed up on secure software development with CISO just at RSA a few months ago. So why are you not doing it now? I'm sorry, I'm being critical on CrowdStrike this morning. Someone should, right? It's all good and dandy. We support you, shit, stuff happens. This is a family-friendly show. But come on, you ought to do better. When it comes to rapid response content deployment, the following changes are planned that have not yet been implemented. Implement a staggered deployment strategy. Again, why not now? Why does it take something like this to happen to do best practices? A staggered deployment strategy is standard. It's industry best practice. Improve monitoring of sensor and system performance during deployment. Why aren't you doing it now? So are you just pushing stuff out, going like a kicker at an NFL game? I mean, seriously, what's going on here? Provide customers with more control. Yes, you should. You absolutely should give customers control. I want control. I don't want you updating my systems. I want to control my updates. I know my updates better than you do. And offer content update details via release notes. Again, best practice. Everyone does this. CrowdStrike, what were you doing up until now? CrowdStrike's welcome to the party. My frustration this morning lies in the fact that I was reading this. I'm speaking to someone I know really at a C-suite level over at Delta Airlines. And like, I could hear the pain in their voice. And chances are, I don't know, that legally they're going to get compensated from CrowdStrike, right? And I could hear the pain in other people's voice. I was at Atlanta Hartfield Jackson last night speaking to people. And someone there was like, hey, we were supposed to fly out Friday. We're flying out Wednesday night. So take that for what it's worth. Significant. CrowdStrike. Come on now. Be better. Really. I mean, the stuff you're talking about doing is basic standard stuff. Rant over. Let's go ahead and go with an unnamed financial institutions in the Middle East, predominantly in the UAE, was attacked with a 6-day, over 100-hour DDoS attack on the financial institution. Researchers at Radware said the attack was launched by a group called SN Black Meta. They claim to be pro-terrorist, aka pro-Palestinian hacktivist. They based that assessment on the group's Telegram and X account, as well as a range of organizations targeted. The researchers declined to answer question about what financial institution was attacked, but they did see a peak of 14.7 million requests per second as an example of the scale. Google said it stopped a 2022 attack that peaked at 46 million RPS, equivalent to receiving all the daily requests to Wikipedia in just 10 seconds. The SN Black Meta incident consisted of 4 20-hour waves of DDoS attack on the financial institution, averaging around 4.5 million RPSs. During the 6 days, the institution located in the UAE, they say the Middle East, but I now know confirmed it's the UAE, was under attack 70% of the time. While under the attack, the ratio of legitimate to malicious web requests was as low as 0.002%, and average 0.12%, according to the researchers. The attackers tried several times to overrun the customer's web applications, but failed to impact the services. Ultimately, after 6 days of generating malicious web requests, the attackers moved on, realizing they couldn't really impact the organization more than what it is. They believe that the attackers used infra shutdown, a popular DDoS for hire service that has a subscription fees for about $500 per week. While government officials say most DDoS attacks are launched as a result of business or gaming disputes, Russia-based groups have used the attack widely against the U.S. and other institutions opposing to this one, and apparently this one again coming because the UAE does business with Israel. There's the Abraham Accords, and they're trying to destabilize the UAE financial system. So on top of attacking the UAE, they've also attacked the international airport of Azriel in Saudi Arabia and other places. Again, just kind of getting that idea there. The inner workings of North Korea's government-run hacking operation came into sharper focus this week after a new Mandiant report documents the emergence of APT-45, aka known as Andriel or Silent Cholema, is known for cyber espionage operations supporting strategic interests of Kim Jong-un's regime. Now they've expanded operations to data extortion ransomware attacks against very sensitive targets. The new Mandiant report coincides with a mass advisory from the government and its allies exposing the tools and tactics used by North Korea hacking group. A Mandiant spokesperson said the company has worked closely with multiple U.S. government agencies, including the FBI, to track the group's effort to acquire defense and R&D intelligence. Again, North Korea does this for two reasons. One, their own independent research. Number two, to do it on behalf of China. Like, understand that, channel that in. There's that. Why do they keep doing it? And why do they increasingly do it? Because our foreign policy sucks. I mean, it's really that simple. We have no deterrence to the North Koreans. We name and shame and we do sanctions. And because we've done sanctions, Saudi Arabia announced that they've gone after For 50 years, Saudi Arabia has sold their oil based on the US dollar. That stopped. That 50 years started in 1974. It expired. The administration was unable to renew it. And why would you when it's being used as leverage by the US government against you? And so financial sanctions don't work because all they do is to create an alternative. And whenever you create an alternative, you bring that upon. And so that's the situation here. That's why they're so emboldened at the moment. And again, we're in about a month and a half. We're currently doing some deep dives on both presumptive nominee Kamala Harris and the Republican nominee, former President Donald Trump. And we're going through their websites. We're actually researching their stance on cybersecurity, previous statements, so forth. And we'll do an episode that will probably air right before early voting starts in September around their positions around cybersecurity and foreign policy and geopolitics and how all three kind of come together. That'll be a special episode we'll post. So stay tuned for that as well. We just started that research now that we know who the presumptive nominee is for the Democratic Party. Once presumptive nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris, accepts the nomination, then we'll go ahead and launch the episode. And hopefully by then her website and her presidential website will have a stance on cyber, which we'll be able to bring you. If not, we've reached out to their campaigns already asking these questions. So we hope they'll give us some answers that we can educate you on what to expect from both administrations going forward, whoever is elected in November. Bangladesh is coming back online after 5 days of near total internet blackout. The country in Southeast Asia had internet service partially restored as of Wednesday after 5 days amid deadly student protests against a quota system for government jobs. According to data from several internet monitoring services, fixed line connectivity in Bangladesh has been partially restored as of late on Tuesday, but traffic and the range of IP addresses that are currently active are still significantly lower than they were before. The local government is restoring internet services gradually, first providing it to state hospitals, water supply and sewerage authorities, electric supply companies, and banks, and then they're slowly kind of rolling that out. The country's communication authorities are to decide on Wednesday how and when to restore mobile internet. Bangladeshi students have been demonstrating for weeks against a quota system for government jobs, which they say favors allies of the ruling parties. About 150 people were killed there. That just shows you the power when the government takes away internet. 5 days. A Chinese company that was somehow ended up in charge of handing out domain names ending with .top has been given until mid-August to show that they've put a system in place for managing phishing reports and suspending abusive domains, or they'll forfeit the license to sell those domains. The warning comes amid a new release that the .top was the most common suffix in phishing websites over the past year, second to only .com. The letter came from ICANN, the Internet Cooperation for Assigned Names and Numbers, which essentially leases out this ability to sell it. And somehow they've given this to a Chinese company. Someone at ICANN should be fired for this. The ranking of TLDs by phishing domains May to April, you can obviously see .com, then .top, and then obviously XYZ. And the phishing domain score obviously being the highest at .top. So obviously a lot of malicious domains being done by .top. So you could kind of theoretically block that in your email filter and reduce that domain altogether. So there's that. A threat actor has created a network of over 3,000 GitHub accounts to distribute malware and malicious links and perform other nefarious activities, according to Checkpoint. Tracked as Stargazer Goblin, the threat actor has been building the network since August of 2022, using it as a distribution as a service operation in which victims are lowered to phishing repositories. The account, which Checkpoint collectively calls the Stargazer's Ghost Network, has been observed distributing information, stealing malware such as Atlantis Stealer, Luma Stealer, Romanus, Rise Pro, and Red Line. They began advertising the distribution as a service on underground forums in July of last year and is estimated to have earned about $100,000 since their inception. From mid-May to June, the threat actor made approximately $8,000 from malicious activity. Checkpoint identified repositories containing phishing download links that redirect to 3 GitHub Ghost accounts, one serving the phishing template, another providing the image for the template, and the third that serves as the malware as a password-protected archive. So Checkpoint doing that. And other big news from Checkpoint that's not on here. Yesterday, Checkpoint announced their new CEO to replace founder Gil Schwade as being managing director, a teammate, and former commander of 8200, Nadav Tzafrir. So congratulations to Checkpoint and Nadav. Nadav, a friend of the show, over at Teammate. Really a great asset, and hopefully he'll be able to rejuvenate Checkpoint. So there's that there as well. Nvidia, for their end, announced patches for vulnerabilities affecting several of its AI and networking products. They've published 2 security bulletins. One covers CVE 2024-0108, a high-severity flaw that affects the Jetson products, which are designed for robotics and embedded edge AI applications. The second security bulletin covers vulnerabilities affecting the Mellanox OS switch OS system for data centers and its successor Onyx, the Skyway InfraBand to Ethernet gateway, and the MetroX long-haul systems. That's CVE 2024-0101. It's a high-severity IP filter issue that can be exploited to launch denial-of-service attacks against the switches. Updates are available. Get that done as well. Docker, for their end, issued an urgent security bulletin with fixes for a critical severity vulnerability in certain versions of Docker Engine that allows attackers to bypass authorization plugins under specific circumstances. The vulnerability tagged CVE 2024-411110 with a CVSS score of a perfect 10 was originally found and fixed in 2018, but explicitly a January 2019 patch was not carried forward to later major versions, resulting in regression. They've now issued an emergency patch. To get that done, you want to make sure you get that there as well. FBI Director Christopher Wray was testifying about the FBI probe into the assassination attempt on former President Trump, saying that encrypted apps are still a challenge as the FBI is probing the shooter's device. I will not say the shooter's name here. Who took a shot at the former president. The Bureau has had early success in breaking into the phone using technology from Celebrite. However, they've stalled with some encrypting messaging apps being a bit more difficult to decrypt messages, which lets you know exactly who was helping this guy. So there's that there on the investigation. So FBI is still struggling with encryption. Maybe reach out to industry and get some help there as well. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern with all the latest and greatest, and our studio will be fully alive at that point, fully done. So we're really excited about that. Again, go check out our Instagram, X, and YouTube later today. I'll be giving a virtual tour of all of that there. Until then, have a great rest of your day, and most importantly, y'all stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.